Okay, guys, so today we're learning another way to solve quadratic functions. What's one way you guys have learned so far to solve quadratics when you have x squared? Actually, I think it's the only way you guys have learned so far. Anybody know? Like if this was equal to 0, how did you guys solve this on the test you just took? Yeah, by factoring, all right? So far you've learned how to solve quadratics by factoring. Well, you can't always factor. So the other way you guys learned in Algebra 1 that I don't think we've done yet is the quadratic formula. Do you guys remember that? Quadratic formula? No? All right, well, this is a third way now that you guys are going to add to the toolbox, and that would be by completing the square. So first let's talk about what a perfect square trinomial is. Okay, so write those two down. X squared minus 4x plus 4 is a perfect square trinomial, and why is that? Anyone know how this factors? What multiplies to positive 4 and adds to negative 4? Lindsay? Okay, x minus 2, x minus 2. How could we rewrite this? We could rewrite this as x minus 2 squared. So this trinomial is a perfect square trinomial because it factors to two things that are exactly the same. Okay? So same thing here. I have x squared plus 6x plus 9. So Bailey, what multiplies to 9 and adds to 6? Yes, so we have x plus 3 and x plus 3. So is this a perfect square trinomial? Yes, because we have two of the same thing, so it would FOIL out like that and makes it a perfect square trinomial. There was one more thing that I did not have on here that I thought I had. Hold on. Let's say they give you x squared minus 10x, and we want to make it a perfect square trinomial. Okay? Sorry. So they didn't give us that last number. So in other words, we want to know what number right here would make that a perfect square trinomial. Can anybody just in their head come up with a number that would make it a perfect square trinomial? Yeah. It would be 25. How did you know? Yep. So to get 10, negative 10, we can do negative 5 and negative 5. That adds to negative 10, and it's the only one that's the same number that adds to negative 10. And so it has to multiply to positive 29 or 25. So this number makes it a perfect square trinomial. How exactly did we do that? We took half of this number and we squared it. That's how we got this number. Okay, negative 10 divided by 2 is negative 5. And then we squared it and we got positive 25. All right, so let's do another one. X squared, is it plus 16x? Okay, thanks. Plus a space. So what number would make this a perfect square trinomial? Let's go with Rachel. What do you think? Yeah, 64. Okay, x plus 8 times x plus 8. Again, how did we get this number? We take half the middle number and we square it. Okay, so half the middle number and square it is what you kind of want to memorize. So one more that's not nice. What if we have an odd number like 5 in the middle? So it was easy to take half a number when it's an even number. It's all nice. Okay, we're going to follow the same sort of formula here. We're going to take half the middle number and we're going to square it. And we're going to leave it as a fraction. So Hugh, what are we going to fill in right here? Exactly. Okay, so 25/4 would complete the square. If I factor tractored, okay, something times something, the half always is what goes in the parentheses. Okay, so that's another thing you want to remember is half the middle number is what ends up being in the parentheses. Same thing here, half the 16 goes in the parentheses. Now let's try completing the square to solve. No, okay. So x squared plus 6x minus 4 equals 0. We're going to go to that last step on all these. Yeah. All right, so the first thing is this a perfect square trinomial just by what's given? No, it's definitely not. So we want to get the 4 out of the way, and we just move it to the other side. So we put plus a space, and we add the 4 over to the other side to just get it out of the way. So whatever number's there, move it to the other side, and leave a space. Now, because now we have an equation, you guys, in order to not change the equation, whatever we add to one side, we have to add it to the other side. So when you put plus a space, you're going to put it on both sides of the equation, so we're not changing the value of the equation. And now we're going to complete the square. We take half this number, all right, so 6 divided by 2, and we square it. So 3 squared is 9. So we are going to add 9 to both sides. And now we're going to write this as a perfect square trinomial here. So that would be x plus 3. And we're just going to put squared because it's x plus 3 times x plus 3. We're going to leave it as squared. And on the right-hand side, we have 4 plus 9, which is 13. We're going to ignore this because I think we already did that part. All right. Yep. Forget about that. Okay. Now we solve like you guys have been solving. So from here, this should look familiar because the book sort of prepped you for this, which is really nice. Thanks, Saxon. So we're going to square root both of these. So the square root of this, that gets rid of the square, and we just have x plus 3. And on the right-hand side, we get plus and minus the square root of 13. Don't forget that. And then we subtract the 3 from both sides. I do want it in the front. Some of you on your test put it in the back. I did not count you wrong, but you need to put it in the front. Okay, so negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 13. Let's try one more. Okay, this one's all out of order. We're going to solve by completing the square. So the first thing is we want the x squared and the x piece on the same side. So that's a positive 9x. I'm going to move it over to the left-hand side, which makes it a negative 9x. And then I'm going to put plus a space, and I'm going to leave the negative 7 by itself over here and put plus a space. So get your x squared and your x on one side, leave that weird number on the other side, and now we're going to complete the square. So how we complete the square is we take half the middle number and we square it. Okay? Always turns into a positive number, you guys, because you're squaring out a negative. So I'm squaring the top and squaring the bottom. So Sydney, what do I put in my space? Very good. 81 over 4. All right. Okay, we made this a perfect square trinomial right here. So this would factor to x minus 9 halves times x minus 9 halves, but we just write it as the squared version. Okay. So always the half goes in parentheses. And now on the right-hand side, you do have to add these lovely fractions. So 7 over 1, we would multiply by 4 over 4 to get a common denominator. So that's negative 28 fourths. And we're going to add it to 81. So what is that? 53 over 4. Okay. And now we're going to square root both sides to get rid of the square. So x minus 9 halves. Over here, don't forget the plus and minus. If one of those is a perfect square number, take it. So now I have the square root of 53, and I'm going to go ahead and put over 2 because the square root of 4 is 2. And then we're going to move that 9 halves over to the other side. So x equals positive 9 halves in the front, plus or minus the square root of 53 over 2. And you can leave your answer like this because 53 does not simplify. Right? Okay, just making sure. I was like 52 does, but not 53. All right, let's try a couple on the whiteboards and see if that made any sense to you guys.